It's been about 6 months since I did a video on painting these Blood Knights for a commission, and I still only finished one of them. Let's do the rest. Hi and welcome to Bleeding Tree Gaming. My name's Amy, aka Warpfiend, and I'm going to be looking at some different ways of painting NMM in this. Now you might look at these colours here and say, that's not really NMM colours, you've just kind of picked a bunch of random shades, but there is some kind of logic to this that I want to explain to you. So I've got the green as the base tone, then I've got a bright red, and then I've got a tan, and then I've got a yellow green. Now the look I want to go for on these is just some ancient metal. These Blood Knights are just, you know, ancient vampiric lords. Maybe this armour's been buried for thousands and thousands of years, who knows. So yeah, I'm just trying to create something different for all the metal on them. So let me explain what the logic is behind this. If you take a look at the colours you might use for a typical NMM of gold, you start with a dark brown, a reddish brown, a kind of orangey yellow, and then going up to full yellow and possibly further. Now what I've kind of done is match these colours. So in the brown we've got a greenish brown, a brownish green rather, which is this desaturated like foresty green. For the red kind of lower mid-tones, I've just gone for a straight up red colour, and then I use a tan for kind of the mid-tone, and then bring in some yellowy green instead of just the pure yellow that you traditionally use. Now the reasons I've made these substitutions is, first off, it was just a lot of the colours I'd already used on my palette. The greens I'd used to highlight the bone and hooves on the horses, and the red is obviously just the red from the armour. And like using these colours will help tie your colour scheme together. I've tried to keep the palette fairly limited on these models because there's so much detail. And so I've brought in these colours, but it's also because the green in particular is going to bring out some nasty, just corroded, dirty, filthy tones to it, and that's really the point that I want to get. So what I'm looking at is what maybe might have been kind of gold in colour, maybe it's a bronze, maybe it's a brass, and it's just gone through so many centuries of corrosion that it's ended up looking this kind of greeny colour with some reds in the base and some kind of like neutral browns tying it together. So I'm going to start by taking that green, and I'm just going to base all of the parts that are going to be in corroded metal. Okay, next we're going to use the red, and you'll notice this is actually like a lighter colour than the tan I've got for the mid-tone. I'm going to use it as a wash, and the reason this is going to work and actually kind of darken down some of the parts is because red is the opposite colour to green, so it's going to make the whole thing look darker. When I say I'm using it as a wash, I just mean I'm literally watering down the paint until it's thin enough that it just flows into all those recesses nicely. Once the wash is dried, I'm just going to pick that tan colour and I'm going to do a heavy overbrush. Now, if you've heard my other videos, you'll know I use overbrushes a lot. This is kind of like a dry brush, you're just running your brush over the thing, but I'm actually keeping quite a lot of paint on there, so it's going to be quite heavy. You don't want to completely eradicate the two colours that are underneath, but you want to get all of the raised parts. And from here, I'm going to start by mixing the tan and the yellow-green together, and then just do a slightly lighter overbrush. Now, I'm still keeping my brush fairly wet, but I just want to get some like scrapey, scratchy brush marks in there. Not actual brush strokes, but that kind of scratchiness you get from dry brushing. Because everything's just going to build up a nice texture of chips of all these different colours. And to finish it up, I'm just going to keep highlighting up, getting, you know, a little less each time, wiping a little more paint off my brush every time. First of all with the yellow-green. And then finally I add a touch of white blue to that yellow-green to just bring it up a little bit higher on those very points. I'm going to finish these up, so stick around for the beauty shots at the end. I hope you've enjoyed this shorter tutorial and the little bit of colour theory I've had chance to talk. I've been Warpfiend for Bleeding Tree Gaming. Don't forget to like and subscribe and join our new Facebook group. Bye bye!